Welcome to the final video in the DIY wedge top camper build Ford F150 edition. Video number 1 talked about the design considerations. In that video you're going to find the details of the lengths, widths, angles that you'll need to do your build for the F150. Video number 2, we built the truck cap. So where we're at the start of this video is we have a completed truck cap. This video is going to cover 4 things. Number 1, we're going to assemble the 80-20 material to build the wedge. Number 2, we're going to talk about the tent fabric and how that's constructed. The third thing in here is we're going to talk about the bed panels, what you actually sleep on. And the fourth thing is we'll talk about how we connect the wedge top to the truck cap that we already built. But so far I've got all 4 sides in. The 4 sides are completely functional. Seals on, struts on, stiffeners in, so everything is functional here. So I'm just kind of working on what I can work on until my 80-20 comes in. Some people asked about what this material is. So locally, I live in Wisconsin. Locally, this material for me, I found Omega Bond, and the company that makes it called Laminators Inc. So you can look these guys up online. Actually, there's their URL, and they can tell you they're a local distributor. But there's other brand names of this kind of plastic aluminum composite material. So some of the things that I've heard of are Max Metal, Alu Panel. So you can find those kinds of things. The best source for this material is your local sign company. So I called up my local sign company. They were super nice. They said they didn't have any of these 5x10 sheets, but their distributor probably did. And so they gave me to their distributor, and I contacted them. So again, I'm waiting on my 80-20, but in the meantime, I'm starting to build these panels that are going to slide back and forth, and I can pop them up and remove them. There will be 3 in this space here. So one of them I can kind of pop up right here and then slide backwards, and that's my port to come up into the wedge. And the wedge will extend down. You can see the tape measure extend down that far over the cab. So I'll have about, I'm trying to get an 80-inch bed in there. So I'll get an 80-inch bed. My port is a little small for the 80 inches. So my first port will probably come back to here somewhere so I can open it up. So the bed will hang up, but that's nice and soft. I can squeeze up through that, no problem. But anyways, my panels that I'm gonna have in place these are 1x1 steel tubing, and I just welded them together. And what I'm gonna do is put pink insulation in between, and then there's gonna be a top layer of this Omega Bond and a bottom layer of this Omega Bond. And my hope is the pink insulation will add just enough insulation to keep, the air just a little warmer up in the cab or up in the camper part. So a little bit of insulation for, the kind of the ground that you're sleeping on a little bit. But that's my plan. I'm working on that tonight. And over the next couple of days, I'll try to churn out these little panels. It's getting a little bit late, and it's a beautiful night. See how much I can get done with this one panel. But then tomorrow I'll carry on. Got the framing done. So the metal frame, the lattice you see in there, those are 3 pieces, and I'll show you more in a second, welded together. Just a reminder if you do any welding, because I didn't do this in the first one and I had to bang it straight. But go ahead and clamp all that shit down, because as it gets hot it pulls and it gets out of whack. So anyways, I'll show you what I've got here on the top. And the plywood's not going to be there. It's actually going to be the same material as the aluminum composite panel that's around the outsides. It'll be here, but I just put it up there because I wanted to get up there and see the weight distribution and stuff. So just a reminder what I'm building. There's going to be a wedge top camper at the very top of this. I'm waiting on my 80-20 material to build that out. But for now, down where the tape measure in, that's the pivot point for the wedge top. So it'll open up, and that point down there will be kind of the end point, and this point up here will be kind of where you can sit and get the fresh air. But what I've got is I built 3 of these little lattices, and these things are all kind of separate. So if it's raining, I can either take them up and push them back that way, or I can lay them on the floor of the truck. But we can decide what we're doing. So my plan for right now is I'm going to have, again, not this plywood, but we'll have the aluminum composite material. on the top surface here. These are going to be the ports where we come up in and out. Probably what I'm going to do is leave this side kind of as a, it'll have it covered kind of most of the time, because I'm 6'4", and 6'4" ends right here. And that means that my toes are, I guess, pulled in. So when you just kind of relax your feet in the night, they kind of point out, and you need more space than 6'4". So really I need about 6'8" to sleep kind of comfortably with my toes just touching the end probably. And so what I'm going to plan on doing is leaving this side kind of dedicated sleeping area. I will come up through a single port on this side, but the port here will be removable, so I can pop this panel out if I have to go to the bathroom and get out that side, or I could go this side too. So that's my plan right now, is have one side kind of long for me because I'm 6'4". My wife doesn't need as much space, so we'll use this as the port, and then she'll have that side right there, or one of the kids or whoever's on this side. So anyways, if you got questions at all, let me know. But that's the plan right now. Eventually I might I've seen people put this on gas struts. And so if I were going to do that, I might weld this one and that one together, and then have those kind of lift up as a gas strut system, or maybe all three of them, I'm not sure. But for now, they're all separate panels. That's going to be a phase 3 on the gas strut. So my next step is, for this build, I don't want to cut any of this panel, because the big sheet, which I've got right there, when I cut it out for the actual camper top, there's going to be a big port that's going to be this whole size, and that's the material I want to use to cover these things. Otherwise I'll be wasting material if I just go and start hacking in there. So you won't see any more here, but what I'm going to start probably tomorrow is doing my tent, because I know, even without my 80/20 material, I know my dimensions for my tent. I know the width. I also know the maximum width and the material. So I know what those are, so I can pretty much lay this out. And I'll add a little bit extra leeway in there, but I can get going on my tenting, and the sewing and all that stuff, and figuring out where the zippers are and all of that good stuff. So it'll be fun moving on to sewing. And so for now, I'll just kind of end up probably leaving the truck piece for now, because I can't go much further, I don't think. It's a good day today. Got my 80/20 came in, and I think it just it took about the time that they said on their website, but I'm glad it's in. I've been kind of paused a little bit on this project, and if you recall where I was, where we are, I guess, is, I got my F150. I've built, the whatever that's called, the shell part, I guess. But obviously there's no roof. So that's where the clamshell is going to go for the rooftop tent. And so now that I've got the 80/20, that's what I'm building next. And you can see, the 80/20 I've started here. So this is actually the bottom part of the 80/20. And I actually built, or the bottom part of the wedge. This is the bottom part of the wedge. And this is the top part of the wedge. So I've already built the top part. The top part is 1.5 inches thick. Again, I'm using this Omega Bond, which is the stuff I use on the sides. And you can see the 80/20 is like a big, if you've never seen it before, it's like a adult erector set. So when you're growing up, you just, everything connects together. There's little T-nuts that slide into these little slots. This little gusset here to kind of strengthen it. And you can see, the Omega Bond is just kind of bolted through, and there's a T-nut in the slot that it's bolted to. That's probably the hardest part, is, bolting on the Omega Bond. And my recommendation is that you thread your bolts through your T-nuts first, because some of them don't thread on very easy, and it's a pain in the butt if those are in the middle, because then you got to slide them all out, and slide new ones back in. So for example, here's the T-nuts. You can see them. I slid. There's 8 of them in there, and I've got those positioned for my Ketter rail, which I'll show you later on in a different video. But I'm kind of, put those in there because once you put this all together, you can't get them in unless you take it apart again. So you got to kind of think ahead a little bit where you want those T-nuts. But you can see kind of like, here's the bottom. There's an inside
bracket for strength. And then outside, there's these little gussets here. And then I'll put that Omega bond on this. We'll attach it, and then we'll have kind of both the top and the bottom kind of complete. And then probably tomorrow, put the hinges on, connect the top and the bottom, and I'll build the top and the bottom get it functional in the garage here on the ground. And then I got to figure out how I'm going to get it up there, because I mean, this by itself is pretty heavy, so I may have to end up taking it all apart. You know, the top or the bottom part, put it up there first, and then put the top part up there on top of that later, because I don't think I can lift the whole thing by myself. So right now, we're tapping the little end holes. So this is not hard to do. I wouldn't pay for this. It is kind of a pain in the butt. So, I mean, I suppose if you don't have the time, you know, it's something you can pay 80-20 to do. I didn't want to pay the extra money for the machining, and I also didn't want to wait for any special machining. So I'm doing it myself, just tapping it. It's pretty easy to do. And so I'm going to try to finish all the corners tonight, see if I can get the bottom on there and cut down. And then after that, maybe tomorrow I'll assemble the wedge, and I got the gas struts over there. So I think all the pieces are in, and I'll be able to kind of quickly assemble this wedge. But got the wedge camper, top and bottom kind of done. I don't have the base, you'll see in a second, but it's fully assembled. Got the struts on. You can see the struts. This is the top. Got the corner gussets all in there. Handle for lifting. All right, bud, you want to do it? Struts push it up. So it's measured out so that opening angle right there, that is a little bit more than, it's about 60 inches right now. My tent fabric is 59 inches. So what should happen is it'll tighten up the tent fabric, and it'll stop opening. So there's about an extra inch in there that really won't open that far. But anyways, that's where the struts are. So you can see right now there's no bottom here. So there is going to be a bottom. I'll put the Omega bond on there probably tomorrow. And again, the bottom it's only half a bottom, just the part that goes over the cab. The rest of it is kind of open, so I can get up in there. And then that's where the panels that I built, I showed previously, go. So anyways, that's where we are tonight. Got the wedge kind of complete. You can see on the inside, we got the heavy duty angle brackets. Same thing up there on the top. Anyways, coming along. We'll have more progress tomorrow. I'll put the tent in tomorrow. Guess what? Camper wedge is on top of the cap now. Bit of a beast to get up there, but throughout the day I managed to get pieces up there. So I got the bottom part up first. Then I put the top part on and attached it with the hinges, and then we snapped on the things. But anyways, let's take a look here what we got. So all around, I got, you know, just a little more work to do, but I wanted to make sure I do this before they're still light. So I got to put my gussets back in here. I think that's what they're called, the gussets. But I should be able to open up the sides. They should open up. Before they actually open up here, let me show you. So this rail is permanently attached to the truck cap. From there up is the wedge top camper. So these things connect the wedge top to the truck cap. And my goal all along is I wanted to be able to have a lower profile cap that I could take and swap out the wedge if I wanted to. So I can undo these mounts. All right, the wedge will pop off, and then I have more 80-20 right here and another sheet to build a low profile cap, which will just be a 1.5 inch above this level. So that was my goal all along, was to be able to attach the wedge top to the top, but not have to have it if I don't want to. Okay, so these latches, I found these, I forget, it was a project I had last year. I'm not sure if they're the right ones yet, because I don't like it necessarily that when this raises up that they might touch a little bit and fuck with my sides. So I might end up either moving those down a little bit, probably just move them. Anyways, that's what they are right now. So same thing here. And then top is clear. Raise it up. Now the tint fabric is missing. I showed you the fabric in an earlier video. It's not done. I'm waiting for my zippers to come in. But the Ketter rail, thanks to someone, I forgot who the name, Kevin maybe, but he told me I had these in backwards. I did swap them around, and that does make a big difference. So there's a little dimple on these T-nuts, and that should not face out, it should face in. It's a hell of a lot easier to screw the screws in or the bolts in if you have them facing in. So I fixed it here and back there and here. So I'm hoping that I have a little bit easier time with my Ketter rail. What else do I got? So I guess the top. I can step back. So I got a bed platform that I'm gonna have in pieces, and I can show you those bed platform things in a little bit, but that's what I'm gonna work on next, is building the bed platform. The bed platform, there's a couple of ledges. There's an angle liner on that side, and the bed platform sits on those. So if I want, I can take the platform totally down and have, you know, wide open area to sit in, you know, if it's raining or something. Otherwise, I can keep the bed platform totally up, and we can slide the pieces back that way if we have to, but you get the idea there. So today, or I should say after work tonight, I got these kind of panels done. So now you can start to see kind of the camping space a little bit. There's a bit of a gap right here in the back side. I don't have that bolted down yet. And maybe pulling this one more time just so I can put some sealant, so rubber gaskets and stuff around there, but that part right there will be bolted down. And in addition, I don't think I'll feel that once you get the pad on and everything. You won't really feel it. So there's 3 panels. That's removable. I can slide the whole panel up and slide it off in the back. The center panel is also removable, and so is this last panel. But this last panel has, you know, the things aren't tied down, so you can slide it over, and that's the port that you can get up into the sleeping area in. So the sleeping area, you come in through the tailgate, and then I can leave my side because I'm 6.5 foot long, and just to relax my feet, you know, when they stretch out, I probably extend up to here. So this is now plenty of space for my 6.5 foot body to, or 6'4" inch body to lay. And so like tonight, I just did these panels. So still a little bit of cleanup to do. Like I still can see some of my caulking that I have all over. So I clean up the caulk. I still have this little piece to put in. I'll probably do that tonight. But things are starting to look pretty good. I'm still waiting on zippers for my fabric. Once the fabric comes, I have my T-slots or T-nuts already in there, so I can connect up the fabric with the Ketter rail. And I had a video of that already showing that. So anyways, that's kind of where we're at right now. If you have questions on the build, let me know. The whole inside now, so you can see the roof. At some point, I probably will, thinking about putting some 1-inch foam insulation in here, so these bed things will be a little bit insulated, so when you're sleeping on them. So anyways, I might put that in there later, but for now, I'm just leaving it kind of raw like that. Okay, so it's time to start the tint fabric. So I've got it cut out. I'll show you what I did to figure out how to do all the angles. Just got it bunched up here. Talk about the process a little bit here, and then, you know, I'll do a little work, and then I'll show you some pictures after that. But what I did to calculate, because I don't have my 80/20 extrusions yet, so I don't really know the actual, I don't know the physical things. I know what sizes they are. So when I look at my extrusions, you know, for example, along the back side, width-wise from driver's side to passenger side, I know I have 57 inches inside dimension. So I'm making my fabric 59 inches. So I'm thinking that an extra inch on the side, that's probably sufficient there. So I should be able to, you know, connect this up here. So same thing on the the along the passenger side and the driver's side, I know the extrusions are 102 inches. And so I made this 103 inches. So I gave myself another inch down here. So an inch on each side, I'm thinking that's good enough. I did want to figure out what the minimum, how much material do I need back there? So I had to do a little math. I'm not going to go through it, but I figured out, I have 60 inches, which is from top to bottom, how wide my material is, figured out the angles. And then when you look at it, the extrusions are back here. So you really have fabric that mounts. So it mounts like 3/4 of an inch down from the top of this rail. And then it mounts halfway through this rail. So this is a rail is 1/2 inch or 1.5 inches thick. So when you look at it, it's 3/4 of an inch fabric runs from here to here, and then another 3/4 inch up here. But then there's this thing. So similar triangles you can figure out, and you end up with the total minimum width is those 2 3/4 of an inch plus this 0.87 inches at 2.37 inches. Anyways, a lot of math here. So anyways, what I did is I just decided to use about 5 inches. So you'll see I cut it out. And what I did is I drew this outside lines based upon this figure. So I laid it out on the carpet, I drew that line, and then there's no harm in leaving some extra material. So when I did my cuts, I just cut, it looks about a 1/2 inch in all the way around. And then what I did is I put an inch in these little marks, and I'm going to put this this tape. It's double-sided sticky tape for sewing. And like as you wash it, it kind of disappears. But I'm going to put this on that line, then fold it over to have a 1/2 inch seam around the edge here. And then after that, I'll lay this all flat and I'll start positioning kind of where I want my windows. And I'm thinking I'm going to end up doing something like this probably. So if this is I'll probably have a big zipper, and maybe some Velcro at the top here, so I can Velcro this thing, zip it down, Velcro it, roll it. I'm going to have bug screen on the outside, so there'll be a couple of ones. And then same thing here, maybe a long zipper. So 2 long zippers here, something like that. I don't know yet. I'll figure that out as I go. But I got to order the zipper material soon. So if you have questions on the material, I'm not sure I'm the one to ask. I can tell you what I'm doing. Learning not the welder tonight, but we're looking on the Singer sewing machine over there. Got the wedge kind of built a little bit today, or last night I suppose. And then this morning I got my tent, which isn't done yet, but I got the fabric material attached. So raise it up and got the fabric. Fabric's not done yet. I'm still waiting on some zippers. Then I can punch holes in this side, and I'm gonna have a big mesh window on that side, a big mesh window on this side, and one on the other side, so you can get a lot of airflow. But right now, that's not the case. But it should be pretty good when we're all set and done. Again, mesh, mesh, mesh. Got to work somewhere on my corners, but besides that, things are looking pretty good. And then there will be a tail strip back there that I got to work on too. Quick update. This is one side of the tent, and I'll go over it and I'll show you a mistake I made and how you can kind of fix this mistake if you run into similar issues, and then also show you the equipment that I'm using. So anyways, like I said, this is one side of the tent, the fabric part, and I have a zipper, which you can see on the inside here, and it goes all around the curve and it comes on that side. So I have 2 zipper heads. You can see them right there, and they're pointing nose towards each other. So that way I can zip it down one way and zip it up, or if I just want to have that little corner open, just a little vent for the night, I can do that. Or if I want to zip the whole thing down, I can zip the whole thing down. The other black stripe that you see around the edge, that's the Velcro. So that's the male part of the Velcro all the way around. And then that fits this mesh panel that I built. So the mesh panel, by the way, if you have cats, my cats love this stuff, and they can ruin like 6 hours of work, so keep it up out of their way. But anyways,
So I built this little mesh. The Velcro's on the back side. And how I did it was I just stuck that part down first. And then I flattened it out so it was, you know, all the wrinkles are gone. And I stuck the other part down on top of it. And this has sticky back. Then I pulled the sticky off. I laid the mesh on top of that. And then I carefully pulled it up. And then once I pulled it up, I was able to put this piping on the edge. I think it needs a little piping just for strength, but also I think it makes it look better. So anyways, I took the time, I put this piping on the edge, and then, you know, that's it. So anyways, today I'm going to finish up the other side, hopefully. All I have left to do on the other side is put the zipper in, and then I can start working on the front panel. So hopefully this weekend sometimes I'll have the fabric, all the parts of the fabric done, and then I'll be able to attach it to the tent. If you have questions on anything on that build part, ask me below. So I'll show you quickly, the mistake I made. So when you're rounding the corners of that zipper, you're supposed to stretch the top part, which is this side, and you compress the bottom part. And I thought I was doing that really well. But anyways, I put that in, and when I started sewing it, I sewed from this side, I sewed the outside. Outside I sewed up, no problem at all. And then when I sewed the inside, I started sewing it from here, and I went around this corner, and then I got to about here, and I saw that my fabric was really super tight. And I just stopped what I was doing, and I stretched it out, and there was no way I was going to make this corner. All right, I could make the corner, but then it would be super tight. So anyways, I stopped sewing. I still started sewing up from the bottom, and I just kind of pushed that little bit where I could get it. And then at some point, I cut my inside fabric to relieve that pressure, that tension that was built up. And so I did a cut like this, and then that opened it up and allowed me to kind of get the corner. And then I put this patch over the top of it. You can still see some, you know, still tight, still pulling, but that cut was deep enough that it could get in here. And anyways, so my mistake on the zipper, hopefully the other one, I don't have to do this trick. But if you do run into that, you know, I'd already invested a lot of time into this side, and either a complete do-over, or maybe I could, you know, snip and build this inside panel again. But I went with this option. It seemed the least of all things, and anyways, it is what it is. Spent the last couple of days sewing. I'll do a walk around in a little bit to the whole thing, but just a quick tip here. If you're all using this ketter rail to hold your tent in place, you know, here's the top part. I struggled getting this in the hole. There's a back side of this, there's a T-nut. You have to worry about getting everything lined up, and the T-nut not sliding, so it's a little game you play back and forth. This is such a struggle. Don't do it this way. Okay, I'll show you a simpler way. Notch out your ketter rails like this, okay? Then all you do is you put your screws in, pre-screw them, and just line them up, okay? Simple as that. Then tighten it down. It's not gonna go anywhere, all right? It's super simple, it's a lot easier. Don't need to be struggling with all these holes that are a pain in the butt. All right, so today's a big day. Not quite done yet, but I've got the fabric attached to the camper. And so functionally, I would say we're 95, 98% there. If it doesn't rain, 100% there. Well, no, I would say 95%. I got some mesh on the back to finish up. I'll show you that in a second. But anyways, just a quick walk around. You can see both sides, two big windows. The mesh is actually removable, so it's just Velcro. So if you want, you can pop that mesh off. I put it like that because that way, my guess is that's probably something that would get tore. And so I don't have to take the whole tent part or tent off, the fabric off to get fix that. I just pull off that mesh panel. I can take it back inside, and I can create a new mesh panel for this, whatever side that gets ripped. Got the rain skirt in. If I had to do it again, I'd make that rain skirt a little bit longer. It fits well here, but when you try to go around the corners, it needs a little more length. So the back side, almost done.
really big opening here, 2 zippers, so it zips down on the sides, and then there's Velcro across the top holding it up there. So the whole back panel will drop down. You can see kind of an edging of Velcro again. So I have a Velcro panel in the back here, or a mesh panel in the back that I have to complete. And then the other side is same as the previous side, but I just have the inside thing zipped up so you can see kind of both how it looks both ways. Let's take a peek here at the bed. So pretty much the whole back space is wide open for, you know, whatever else I want to take with us. So my feeling, and I got the deck system, so I'll have some drawers here, but I'll probably have some crates that I just kind of pack away and keep them with me at all times. I haven't done the seal. You can still see the light there. I didn't do the seal along the bottom, so water can get on the deck. I'm not too worried about the deck getting water on it right now, but if I need to, I can still undo these and lift it up. It'll be a little heavier to lift, but I should be able to get it done. So up here is where you get access to the bed. So let's see if I can get up here without... So you can see queen size mattress in here. That's looking out that window on that side. So a lot of space, plenty of space for at least 2. And again, I'm 6'4", so this length over here is a lot of space for me to lay down and easily. I can even sleep head up there, feet here, or head there, feet there, it doesn't matter. When you get these over the cab type things, as you get going faster and faster, the air gets kind of rammed back in underneath here. And for me, at around 70, 75 miles per hour, it starts to resonate, and this whole thing starts to kind of make a lot of noise. And you know, just having this thing in front was kind of a ram into kind of the air, and it was just causing gas mileage issues. So tonight I put together a prototype, share this, see how this works out. You can kind of see some flexible pieces of plastic. Those are just made out of Kydex. Same kind of stuff that you make holsters out of. So it's pretty flexible. So you can see this sheet kind of is flexible. I actually added some of this rubber gasket underneath here to protect my roof a little bit. And so you can see that there. Just kind of bolted it up here. I probably will put a strip of, like a 1-inch strip of aluminum over the top of this just to kind of give it a little bit more protection, so I won't pull out either one. But I was traveling tonight around 75, 80. My sound issues went away and the vibration issues went away. So it is kind of a, I mean, I know some people put kind of a smaller rack up in front and then kind of pushes the air over the top. This is kind of serves kind of the same purpose for me, and tonight's prototype will work really well. I'll leave it on for a couple weeks and see how it goes. But again, this is just, these are 12 by 24 inch pieces of Kydex. I think it's like 1/8 inch thick. And then I just bolted it in to my 80/20 reel, kind of at the second to the bottom. And then it just kind of has a natural curve. Originally I was going to use a heat gun and shape this, but this natural curve, you know, kind of pushes down, and it still allows your back of your truck to kind of move up and down. And then this isn't really sliding in and out that much. It's more kind of up and down, and it kind of compresses. So I'm not expecting a lot of kind of travel here on top of the roof, but I did put that gasket in there just to protect it just in case. That's a wrap for this third and final video of this build series. I do keep the camper on my truck full time. This is my daily driver, and I have found no problems with it at all. Once I put the wind plow on that you saw at the end, you know, that really improved my gas mileage, a couple miles per gallon, and I haven't had any issues with the wind at all. I did end up trimming the edges of the wind plow so that it kind of conforms a little bit more to the size of the truck. I tried to cover as much of the build as I could remember, and I think I hit most of the key aspects of the build, but if I left anything out, write a comment below and I happily will answer your question.